Hello and welcome to GoodCast, a podcast produced by Goodwill North Central Texas, where we take a closer look at the story behind the store and highlight successes made possible thanks to the generous donations of everyday people. I'm your host, Justin, and today we're doing something a little different. Throughout the course of this show, we've covered the ins and outs of Goodwill NCT, from its origins to its current programs and services. But one department has a combined total of 82 years of service and has the inside scoop on all things Goodwill. So today, we'll hear the history of Goodwill as told by our accounting team. Let's get started.
Diane Maples. I've been with Goodwill for 30 years, working on my 31st year. 15 years in retail and the rest in accounting.
Terry Scalero. I'm payroll admin and accounts receivable, and I've been here 31 years, working on 32.
Karen Graffio, accounts payable, now purchasing for the time being. Been here going on 21 years.
Can y'all give me like a broad overview of like what your department does?
Well, we all kind of work together as a team, but we have our individual jobs. I post sales, I invoice, I do billing, I do new goods, I do sales tax.
I do all the money that goes to the banks. I balance all the bank accounts, keep up with all the child support, do the 941, most all the payroll quarterly taxes.
Mm-hmm. So we want to stay on your good side. Pretty.
Well, sometimes I'm lenient, sometimes not so much.
Yeah. And I pay all the bills for all of our locations, and including headquarters, and issuing POs for the time being. Mm-hmm. And I do credit reports. So much stuff, it's hard to think, when you're asked that.
Right. Because I feel like, every business has an accounting team, but like beyond that, I could not tell y'all what that means. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to hear like how it's broken down into like different levels and the stuff that y'all do. So what were you doing before you came to Goodwill?
I was doing accounts payable, chemical line company. I did that for 5 years until I came here.
So what was it about Goodwill that drew you to it?
Well, it was actually a blind ad.
Okay.
And when I heard it was Goodwill, I was kind of iffy at first, but I like Greg. He hired me on. And
that's what I think David said, that he actually heard about his position when he initially started through the newspaper as well. Mm-hmm. Like, it didn't advertise that it was for Goodwill at all. He showed up to Lancaster, the creepy old building, he said. He said it was essentially a haunted house back then, too.
Yes. It still is.
And he did his interview, and he was a little unsure about joining, but then something about either the interview or immediately after, he was like, yeah, this is the place that I want to work.
When I first started, there was only 358 employees.
Really?
And now we have 753.
Is it like everybody or like contracts as well and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Like
the whole as the company. We've grown this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started, we only had like 8 stores, and now we have 26 plus an outlet.
Which store were you at when you started?
I started at the Lancaster store.
Okay, so that's not even a thing anymore. Okay.
I started on Halloween 1991, and it's kind of strange that now it's the cutting edge haunted house. I did tour it once while it, during the Halloween, and it was pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. Going back, and it was a nightmare, that location.
Goodwill's Lancaster headquarters was originally a furniture plant building that was purchased in 1968 for $229,000. That means at the time of Terry's hire in 1991, the building would have been 23 years old. The first store in Arlington would have been 1 year old, and Denton would move to its current location at University Drive the following year.
Do you know you could still see, if you drive past it, you could still see the smiling G on the back of the building, like through the faded paint? It's pretty funny. So it used to be a store and headquarters, or?
The retail store, the headquarters, the warehouse, all in that one location.
Who was the CEO at the time?
Bernard Kern.
Was it Kern's?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So was it a normal store, or was it like the outlet?
It was a normal store.
The warehouse is kind of the same. I mean, they were all in just one big area. They were all up on the second floor. The bottom floor was the transportation with the dock area and stuff.
And it was wooden floors.
With holes in
Yeah.
it. 'Cause you walk across the floor sometime, you're walking along, and all of a sudden you're like, what's wrong? And you look back and your shoe's stuck in the hole back here. It's like,
Gosh.
it was creepy.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was maybe falling apart when it was time to move.
In 1995, Goodwill NCT's capital campaign kicked off to begin construction on a new headquarters. The process would take 6 years, with Kern overseeing the move before his retirement in 2000. David Bostic would be hired as CEO that same year, and by 2001, all operations were successfully transferred to the new Campus Drive location. Over the next 10 years, Goodwill rapidly expanded, opening 10 additional stores and hiring more staff.
We packed our office, everything in our cars. We made 15, 20 trips over here, unloaded. We had to load our car and unload it when we got here. And we set up our own offices, and it was fun. So much fun.
And I wasn't a part of the move because I was still in retail at the time.
Okay, when did you make the transition to accounting?
16 years ago.
So what made you make the change from retail?
I was approached one day if I was interested, and I was interested. Although I miss retail somewhat, wanted a different direction, and I've been happy working in accounting.
So what has been like some of the biggest changes since y'all have worked here?
The growth mostly.
More stores added.
I can't remember how many stores were here when I came on. I know we've increased several since.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're still basically doing the same job. I'm still doing the same job I did 30 years ago.
What are some qualities about the organization that have made y'all stick around?
Flexibility.
Kind of laid back.
Yes.
Our supervisor has always been willing to,
Work with us.
you know,
We have a lot of events. We just did the Goodwill Gathering. We did Project Goodwill. Do y'all have any that like stand out to you specifically?
we used to have watermelon seed spitting contests
Yeah.
every year for the
At the
4th of
Lancasters.
July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you participate or did you just watch?
I know when they were building this building, everybody from all the other locations all came over here, and we had the guy from Love Boat, Gopher. I don't remember what his name
yeah.
was.
Mm-hmm.
He was here, and he participated in the watermelon seed
Oh,
spitting
really?
contest.
Mhm.
Yeah. We all got our pictures taken with him. I like the bring your dog to work day.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's one thing we all have in common is we have dogs. Yeah, we're animal lovers.
How many dogs would you say like would be on campus on those days? Was it a lot or just like a handful?
Probably 15, 20. We had a talent show thing. They all
Yes.
came in costumes and paraded around, and they had a little talent contest and stuff, and mine failed.
I had a boxer at the time, and Terry wasn't in the office when I got in there that morning, and she came in and she's like, "Oh."
It was bigger than I expected because
Yeah.
I have little dogs, and it's like walk in, it's this huge thing. But
So what kind of talents did these dogs have?
my dogs were supposed to sing because at home they sing on cue. You could say, "Sing a song, Jessie," and she would just start howling. Brought them up here, and they just looked at each other like, "What are we supposed to do?" Wouldn't sing a song, nothing. Stage fright.
Mm-hmm. Do y'all have any like weird or funny stories from working here?
I got a bonus one time for finding a rat in the wall.
Yeah.
Our CEO kept complaining about this terrible smell in his office. And I kept telling him it smells like a dead rat. And he kept having the janitor people come in and look. Nobody could find it. And he finally said one day, he goes, "Well, if you think it's a rat," he says, "I'll give you a bonus if you can find it." So I went in his office and I kept looking. And I finally just followed the smell. And the baseboards were up like maybe a half an inch off the floor. And I got down on the floor and you could see him behind the baseboard.
Huh.
So just looking, you didn't see him, but if you were down close to the floor, you could smell it.
Right.
I don't know how they got him out, but they got him out and I got a bonus, so.
See, that would have been a good day to have your dog around, because that way you wouldn't have to
That's true.
crawl around on the floor.
That's true.
Huh.
That's a good thing about having a dog around.
Yeah. And was it a couple of years ago? There was a rat that got in the admin building and was going up the trees in the lobby, remember?
Mhm.
That's what I heard about. I think I was like on PTO, and then I came
Were
back,
you?
and then I heard that story, and then someone had like taped a paper rat like outside.
David
the room.
Cox.
Yeah.
And he put one in our office, and I'm totally scared of rodents. And I saw it there in the floor, and I was like, David Cox, he did it.
Yeah.
That's what
Anytime there's something like that going on, you know it's David Cox.
That's what I've heard. He's real big into the pranks.
Oh, yes.
When he was retail, when I'd come back from vacation and there'd be like these bugs on my keyboard, and one time I came and there's a big huge spider. It's like this stuffed spider, and I still have those bugs that he did that 15, 20 years ago.
That's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all have any keepsakes that you've like held on to?
I try to save all of the events, our luncheons and the golf tournaments. And I try to save all of the hard copy of it.
One unique item that Diane also possesses is a scrapbook of sorts that contains the obituaries and names of former Goodwill employees. This keepsake serves as a way of honoring and remembering her coworkers.
What are y'all most excited about for either the new building or just like, in general?
I'll have my own office finally.
Yeah.
Just another chapter, Goodwill chapter.
Mm-hmm. Are y'all looking forward to the move? I think we'll have to lug everything ourselves again, but
We kind of figured that. We were already saving boxes, so
Yeah, we're planning ahead.
Mm-hmm.
trying to decide what to take and what to take home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because Diane and I won't be there very long till we'll be retiring. So
Yeah.
I'm going to take this opportunity to clean our office. We all brought stuff from home that represents us and
Our personalities
just kind of all merged it all together.
blends together.
Everybody says we have the best offices in the building.
We used to go all out for Christmas decorations too.
Mm-hmm.
We have a ton in our file room.
I have a question. I remember they brought us a donation once to potentially include it like in that cabinet we have of weird stuff. And it was this like taxidermied box. So like a giant box with like sand and everything. And we didn't know what to do with it. But y'all wanted it for some reason. Like
I didn't like it.
Oh,
I
yes.
thought it was cool. So I took it and put it in our office, and Karen threw a fit. Get that thing out of here. So transportation was supposed to come get it, and they didn't ever come get it, so it wound up sitting in our office for
A long time.
3 or 4 months. And every time one of the dogs would be up here, they'd be circling it, like smelling of it, like, what is it?
It was kind of spooky though, because you
It
round the
was.
corner and there it was,
Yeah.
not moving, kind of staring at you.
Startled you.
We
What's
do have a
that?
stuffed turtle.
Yeah.
do you?
Yes.
That was like a donation or you brought it?
Well, I guess it was donated, and the lady that was running temp service, she had it. It was set up on a cabinet up there, and then she left, and the girl that took her place was going to throw it back to donations, and I thought it was cute, so I took it and brought it and put it in our office, and Karen threw a fit about it for a while, but now she's okay with George. We named him George.
And George.
So
Not only have we had dogs, Terry has brought squirrels, baby squirrels up here to nurse, to get them, to send them back in the wild.
Really?
Yes. Expected me to watch them, and that's a rodent to me.
I have a little baby bottle, and I bring them up here and feed them every 2 hours and keep them alive. And
Puts them in a little basket.
but Karen doesn't like critters. She puts up with the dogs, but
Dogs don't bother me.
we put a rat on her desk, a mouse in a jar on her
Yes.
desk one time. ran her all the way to the other end of the building.
Oh my gosh, scared me to death.
And then we had that snake that they had found over at the campus store or the outlet over
Yeah,
there.
I was gonna ask, did y'all go look at it or anything?
No, we just saw pictures of it.
I don't do snakes.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Don't do snakes.
No.
Throughout their time together at Goodwill, the accounting team has stood out for their hard work and dedication to the organization. In 2020, they were named the Administrative Team of the Year for their efforts to maintain our course throughout the beginning of the pandemic. They're an integral part of Goodwill's success and are greatly appreciated.
You were joking about it earlier, but like, have y'all made any like lasting friendships or like anybody stood out over the years as like just a cool person?
The three of us. Obviously, we can work with each other. I mean, we have our days we get on each other's nerves, but
Yeah, but we're always behind one another.
yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed this behind-the-scenes look at the history of Goodwill as told by the accounting team. I'd like to thank Terry, Karen, and Diane for speaking with me. They were a bit nervous about appearing on the show, but I think they absolutely crushed it. That being said, that's going to do it for us here today. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. You have been listening to GoodCast, a podcast produced by Goodwill North Central Texas. To stay up to date on all things Goodwill NCT, be sure to check out our social media and sign up for our newsletter. And if you have a second, we'd appreciate it if you could share the show with a friend or leave us a review on iTunes. It is the fastest way to help the show grow. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find podcasts.